We're going to put together some files to be used with the Tell Me More project that we're doing for app development. So let's say that the piece of information that I want to try to sort within my app is a vehicle rental. I've identified some properties. I have a type of vehicle, so that might be a bike or a car or a motorbike or a plane or a hoverboard. A color, which is a string, a year of manufacture, which we'll store as an integer. Thumbs up, because maybe if this app is all about seeing what rentals are available, maybe you want to know how many people had a good experience, how many people had a bad experience. And finally, a Boolean variable that just tells the user whether the vehicle is in good condition or not. And so we'll just leave that as a true or false. So let's go to Xcode and make a new project. Now, for the purposes of what we are doing, we're going to choose iOS. I'm going to use a single view app for now, even though this is ultimately going to be a multiple view app. And for now, I'm going to turn off Swift UI because we're going to learn to use that a little bit later. So I'll call this Vehicle Rental App, and we'll get started with it. So here is our storyboard. Before we start populating the storyboard, let's create our file that contains that new definition for a vehicle rental. So I'm going to make a new Swift file. I'm just going to call it vehicle rental.swift, create it, and now I have what I need to make this file. So we'll start by defining our public class vehicle rental. So these are the properties that I'm using. So vehicle type, color, year of manufacture, thumbs up, thumbs down, in good condition. I just need to include those in my class. Okay, so we've initialized all our variables, and so it looks like this is ready to go. Now let's make a list of items to use for our app in our prototype. To do that, we're going to make a new Swift file. So we go to New, File, and again, just Swift. And we'll call this, how about rentals, plural. And so now we're going to make a list of our vehicle rentals for use in the rest of our app. And this is just going to be a list of random rentals that I'm going to put together of a few different types. So let's make a few. Okay, so we now have 5 rental objects, and we have this list that we're calling rentals. Let's call it rentals list, and it has those 5 rentals in it. And so this will be available to the rest of my application. Now that we've done this, let's work on the storyboard that can actually show some of the information for one of these vehicle objects. So we'll go to our storyboard, which right now has a single view controller. And we're going to start loading it up. I am going to first use this as my detail view controller. So this is going to show information about a single item in my list. So I'm going to add a few labels. So there's one there. And I'll make this the vehicle type. And I'm going to make the default text that shows here the variable name that I'm going to use for it, just to make it a little easier. And so I'm just going to do this for a few of the properties, just as some starter code. And so you may want to then make things a little more complicated to use more of the properties for each individual item. Okay, so what I've done here is I've made 4 labels: the vehicle type, the color, the one for the number of times that the vehicle has been rented, and then another one that's just going to indicate whether the condition is good or bad, so that I can indicate that about a particular vehicle rental. I'm going to open up the Assistant Editor so I can see the various components here. I'm going to hide. You see I have this side view right here. I don't actually need this, so I'm going to turn off the minimap. All right, great. And so I have these 4 labels. I'm going to add them to this particular view controller. I'm going to select this individual one, Control Drag, and I'm just going to call this Vehicle Type Label. And I'm going to repeat this for the other 4 labels. All right. I'm also going to add in a variable. I'm going to call this var selected rental, and I'm going to make this a single one of my vehicle rentals. This function right here is called Viewdidload, and it is a function that is called when the view is first loaded on the screen. Now, for the vehicle, we have this rented number. We're going to do something a little bit different on this one. We're going to make this, so you might want to know how many times this has been rented. So let's make this the total of the number of times you've gotten a thumbs up and a thumbs down. So selected rental dot thumbs up plus selected rental dot thumbs down. And what we'll say is that this was rented that many times. And so there we're processing that value a little bit in terms of how it's displayed. And we'll do something similar with this, with the condition label. We don't want to maybe say that it's just true or false. Let's give some indication as to what the condition of the car is. So if I were to just do selected rental dot in good condition, when I run this, it's going to just say true or false. And so maybe we want to do something a little bit better than that. So let's do this. If selected rental dot in good condition is true, if it's in good condition, then what we'll do is we will set this label and say that this vehicle is in good condition. So that's if this is true. If that is not the case, so we'll do an else statement. Otherwise, we'll set vehicle condition label, and we'll say this vehicle is not in good condition. So now with all of these, we are displaying information about the rental on the screen. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. Now you notice I am getting this error right here, and the reason this error is happening is that Swift is giving me the signal that vehicle rental might not have a value, and that's a problem. When you have a stored property, you need to set it equal to something. So I'm going to put a question mark next to it, and I'm going to get a bunch of errors that pop up after that. And so I know that selected rental is going to have a value. So I'm going to put an exclamation point next to all of these selected rental things. And what that's going to do is that's going to tell Swift, look, I know that this is going to end up having a value. You don't need to worry about it. I will give it a value when this view loads. And so that makes the view disappear. And let's now run this and take a look at our app. And so you can see now this loads. This rental number 1 is a car rented 35 times because of the, let's look at the list here. Rentals number 1, rental number 1 has 31 thumbs up, 4 thumbs down. So this is adding those together to get 35. and then this is saying this vehicle is in good condition. You'll see that this whole thing is kind of shifted to the left away from where I wanted it, and that's just because we haven't positioned the stack of labels in the right place. So we'll fix that a little bit later. Now that we know this is working, we can work on the list view, which is going to show a whole bunch of these rentals, and this will get to the navigation part of what I'm asking you to do in this project.